Let's crack this thing open. Today I'm making a scratch-built ship for Scabz, a game from the creators of Tonks. I started by smashing a flat spot onto the bottom of this metal egg, and roughing up the surface a bit for glue and paint. And to add a deck to the ship, we need to have a surface to glue to. Many things could work, but I grabbed a piece of XPS hobby foam. I pressed the outline into the foam to get a good fit, and cut out the rough shape with a hot wire. I sanded it somewhat smooth, and glued it in place with a hot glue gun. With the surface created, I added a layer of cardstock to be able to superglue to it without melting the foam. I added a little lip to the edge using some craft EVA foam. The pig egg and this bubble wand have been in my junk bin for probably 4 years now, and it feels good to find an application for them. It's with these kinds of builds that I feel justified to never throw anything away. At this stage of the build, I'm holding up bits and pieces to see what'll work. This chrome part looks kinda like a crooked smokestack chimney, and it came from a box of junk sent by my friend Jim from a previous challenge build. It also fits the diameter of the hole in the bubble wand perfectly. I held up some car parts too, but they didn't really feel right. Anyway, for the deck, I didn't want a smooth surface, so I grabbed some drywall mesh tape. Speaking of this tape, you can make some really nice scale fencing by doubling up 2 layers of this and offsetting them. I glued on just 1 layer for the deck, and I'll add some black wash later to imply that there's like a dark recess through some grating. After I glued the smokestack on, I drilled out the chimney and I turned my attention to the cannon. I had this little metal knob lying around that looks pretty good as a cannon, and I can use magnets with it to somehow keep it swivelly. I found a plastic knob as well that fits another diameter on the bubble wand. So I glued a magnet in place and then used a round burr tool in the Dremel to hog out some material. This was a spot for the cannon to seat into, and I superglued it in place. As always, baking soda makes a really good gap filler with superglue. I embedded a magnet in the knob too, so it turns back and forth. And in the spirit of covering these holes by matching diameters, I grabbed a plastic cabochon and I glued it in place with copious amounts of baking soda. I have no idea what this is supposed to be, but I wanted to have a difference between the levels of the surfaces by breaking up the texture. At this point, the silhouette of the boat was a little too round for my liking, so I grabbed some more cardstock and I fashioned a pointier front for the ship. Add a strip of EVA craft foam for a keel. And while I had the EVA foam around, I added panels to the sides of the ship around the top to add some chunky surface breakup. That's looking pretty good, so I glued on the front end. I added these little ring-shaped sequins for a more shippy kind of look. I'm not really sure what part this is called, but I think I've seen it on a boat before. I added a cool little bead that gives the smokestack a more ornate, fluted kind of look. All of these foam panels needed rivets or bolt details on them, so I chucked a small metal pipe bead into my pin vise and pressed a lot of tiny uniform holes into the sides. Some little earring backer posts were added to the rear end, and then it was time for more rivets. How could I forget spikes? Toothpicks will do the job. and with everything greebled to my liking, I added a little final texture with watered down modeling paste left over from my last build. The model has a coat of clear primer on it, so we need a colored base coat. I mixed up some purple, a pink, and a sepia tone to get a dark purpley base color. And after that, I dry brushed some metallic bronze. And I added my main hull color of splotchy pale blue. The smokestack and cannon got a dark gray splotching, and the panels got a rust-colored splotching. Splotchy is the name of the game today. I mixed up a grimy black wash to add some shading and contrast. I wanted it to look oily to match the setting. A couple of the panels needed some different colors, so I added some orange and green. And more weathering too. Being a round egg and having some heavy parts, this thing is a little bit tippy, so I wanted to make a magnetic base. Check out this pigeon smoking with a machete. In Scabz, there's no water, so the boats are floating on a kind of sea of oil. And that's where black hot glue comes in perfectly. I just encapsulated everything inside of the black glue, and I ended up having just enough glue left to get this base done. Trent from Miscast passed the Scab challenge to me, and I'm passing it on to my friend Dave from Dr. Toys. This build and video only took me about 4 days start to finish, which is crazy for me. And I can't say I didn't trade some sleep for hobby time. But that's just a testament to how much fun this is. Thanks to all my patrons supporting my creations. Go make a Scab, and I'll see you on the next build.